So, this is my last weekend in the US before moving to China. After 2 years in the States doing my MBA in Boston, then moving to US for a startup, my US journey is finally coming to an end. Even though I grew up in Canada and I thought Canada was essentially the US, the experience really surprised me. So I wanted to share some reflections on the things I learned in the last 2 years. If any of you is also thinking about moving to the US, I hope this might be helpful to you. And if you moved here and find yourself thinking the same thing, comment and let me know that I have a like-minded friend. First, I won't miss the prices. Even with a six-figure salary, some people are living paycheck to paycheck. This is especially true if you find yourself living in an expensive city like New York or San Francisco, and especially if you have kids. I lived in Boston for 2 years, and my rent for a one-bedroom apartment was $4,500. And let's do some quick math. Let's say you make $180,000. By all accounts, that's a really high figure. Your take-home salary, if you were to work and live in San Francisco, would be around $120,000. And that equals to around a take-home of $9,800 per month. And let's say your rent is averaging around $3,500 to $4,000, especially if you want to live somewhere nice. You probably spend around $2,000 to $3,000 per month on groceries, shopping, and things you want to buy. That means you end up spending around $6,000 to $7,000 per month, and you only have around $2,000 to $3,000 in your savings. And if you have kids, this math really doesn't add up. So honestly, $180,000 is kind of like a survivable wage in San Francisco and New York.
All you're doing is hinging at your hips.
Another thing I won't miss is how disconnected people can be from each other. Here, I feel like everyone lives in a bubble. The rich is sipping lattes in their gated driveway. A mile away, people are lining up at the local food bank. In America, your zip code is basically your destiny. Good schools on this side, broken schools on that side. Mansions on one block, tents on the next. Neighborhoods aren't just places, they're walls. Land prices, school districts, healthcare access. Everything screams, this is who you are, this is where you'll be. And empathy gets lost somewhere along the way. Being here for about 2 years, I feel like no one's really thinking about the bigger picture of how do we build a cohesive community? How do we build a better country? People are thinking, how do I build a better life for myself and my family? I feel like people have really lost the ability to empathize and connect with the bigger whole and care for the bigger whole. Another thing is I've lived in both Asia and Europe where I felt like life was just at your doorstep. You were always one quick subway ride, a cheap Uber, or a walk away from your final destination. Here in the US, car culture is everything. I remember arriving in Mountain View where I live and telling my friends that, hey, I'm here for the summer. And they very quickly asked me, oh, like, what kind of car do you have? How are you going to drive around? And I told them, no, I actually don't have a car for the summer. And they felt so much pity for me. And it was crazy to think that I actually can get judged for not having a car. And I also feel bad for them. Their life is spent driving from parking lot to parking lot. And you're stuck in the city with just vast lands of asphalt. And it's not just about convenience, it's about isolation. People can go about their day driving from one place to another, and the streets are built for cars. They're not built for people, and they're not built for us to feel a sense of community. The last thing is America is very consumeristic. And you might be thinking that's just in how they shop, how they like to buy presents and treat themselves. But it's also in the way of how people consume information. People are quick to take bite sized headlines, quick takeaways, easy narratives that are built for speed instead of depth. And this leads to people holding paradoxes side by side. For example, they say American dream, yet inequity runs deep. They champion freedom, yet wage endless wars. They praise democracy, yet spread and control the narrative. Especially when I did my MBA, when it comes to China, I felt the hostility. It is there, it is quiet, and it is implied. But because I was in an MBA classroom, it was spoken out loud. You sit through debates and listen to people dissect your country, your world, with a certainty that feels yet so grossly oversimplified. And you can try your best to push back, to explain, and you try to complicate the narrative by building in some nuance. But eventually, you learn to stop and you take on the let them philosophy. But what really unsettles me is that it's not that people have gotten it wrong, it's the fact that they're so sure that they're right. And if we keep clinging to the simplified truth, we drift farther and farther away from reality until the truth itself is unrecognizable. So, all that being said, I will say there are still things that I will really, really miss about America. First is just how much Americans respect the entrepreneurial spirit. If you're working on something, even a weird idea, people will respect it. Back home, growing up in Canada, you can't stand out for being overly ambitious. But here, the builder mentality is contagious and makes you believe that everything is possible. I will also miss the individualism that is here in the States. Here, you really get to define who you are, and there isn't just one path to follow. And you know what? If the people around you don't get you, you can always move somewhere else and find a like minded community. And it's kind of the flip side of the same coin that I just mentioned about people not really caring about other people. The good thing about that is you really get to be who you are because no one really cares. And that freedom, the freedom to decide who you are and get to define your reality, is what makes America so amazing. The thing that I will miss the most, though, is the friends and the communities that I found here that I really connected to. The people I met here are creative, ambitious, and also inspiring. They've taught me so much, and honestly, they made these 2 years worth it. There are people here who helped me figure out my life, who celebrate the small wins with me, and who made this expensive, complicated city feel like home sometimes. And you can really find people that you identify with, maybe not in your physical life, but you can find them on the internet. And I think being in the States, you just really learn to embrace your own individuality and find people who can tap into who you are. And this is probably the thing that I think makes US so irreplaceable on, it's that by being here, you are at the edge of culture, whether it's tech, it's design, it's food, it's media. Things start here and ripple outwards into the rest of the world. And having worked in ByteDance, at TikTok, you cannot underestimate the influence that America has and the ability to create global trends. And you get to see ideas here, new ideas here that blossom before they become mainstream. You can watch artists and entrepreneurs test things that might become the next big thing, and you might even get to build it yourself. Most of it fails, but the energy is addictive. There's this energy and belief about being in a place where people are constantly trying to question and push boundaries. So, what did I really learn in these 2 years? I learned that no place is perfect. US is messy, it's contradictory, and sometimes it's purely just exhausting to live here. It's also bold, inspiring, and open in ways that is hard to find anywhere else in the world. I'm super grateful for the lessons, for the people, for the growth that I had while I lived here. And I know that for me, my ideal life is to be a global citizen. I don't want to constrain myself with living in just one place. And I think the beauty in this day and age is you really get to travel and pick things from each city that speaks out to you and keep that as part of your identity. So for me, US will always be a place where I was inspired to build and create and get to know a bunch of different cultures and open my mind. I know that the part of the magic about being in the US is that because it's just so diverse and you can be whoever you want, not everyone's US experience is going to be the same. So if you have a very different US experience than me, please comment down below. I will say that I've only lived in blue states, so I don't know how people from red states think. And I think there might be different realities that people are living in. So let me know. And I hope that this was helpful.